So by now we all know what's going on with Dodge. CEO is Tim is stepping down or retiring, so to speak. And I know this happened like a few days ago. And while I'm just not doing the video and talking about it, I mean, I was on vacation. I was on a boat, so there's that. But and that for most people is the final straw. That's really the nail in the coffin when it comes to the whole Dodge brand and what we have grown to know them as and what they have become as of late. But honestly, man, if you look back over the last 10 years of Dodge, they have been, going through some things, but they've been hiding it really well, I should say, and still pumping out popular cars. But a lot of the choices that they made over the last like 10 years, like I was mentioning, kind of put them in this predicament where they are now. So let's go ahead and hop into the video. Let's talk about some of the mishaps Dodge has been going through and kind of like some of the latest things that's been happening with them outside of the CEO retiring. YouTube family, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And if you're new here, we do car stuff a lot on this channel. This is a car channel. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, so you're up to date with all the car related stuff that we got going on. And if you have already subscribed to the channel, I appreciate you for doing that. But we will not hold you too long. Let's go ahead and hop into the video. You see the title and you see the thumbnail. So for most people, the final nail in the coffin for Dodge was Dodge getting rid of all the V8s and going fuel efficient EV route, right? And that is the point where everybody's like, it can't get much worse than this. People are like, that is it, Dodge is dead, whatnot. Well, it has got much worse than this. We all know Tim Kuniskis has I keep saying stepped down. He retired. He retired as the CEO of Dodge. He was also over the Ram division as well. And if Dodge was dead before, this is kind of this is like overkill at this point. I mean, they was already buried. This is just adding more dirt on top of what was all going on with Dodge. I mean, the EVs coming in, the V8s going away, kind of mixed feelings on this new car, the lineup looking ugly. But I mean, honestly, like I said at the top of the video, I feel like a lot of stuff been going on with Dodge over the last 10 years that's kind of led them and put them in this box that they're stuck in right now that they can't get out. And that box being a coffin, what it seems like. And it's just a lot of things that's been going on that's really led him down this path. And it's definitely unfortunate that he retired or whatnot. I mean, from my perspective, it seemed like he was really a genuine car guy, and really cared about the brand and really got the brand to a point where it is today. I mean, they were really bold in how they went about things differently than a lot of the car companies were really in your face when it came to the marketing. Probably had the most exciting commercials out of anybody, out of any car manufacturer. There's no manufacturer that's touching them in car commercials. The hype they built around these cars and things like that. He definitely did some good things for the company and whatnot. And it is sad that he retired from the company. And to speak on that a little bit, I mean, we probably never know the real reasons why he retired from his role or whatnot. But it typically when CEOs retire, it's usually for like a you can categorize it in the same few reasons, right? Whether it's for health reasons. I mean, he was like 57 and stuff like that, so it didn't seem like he was unhealthy or anything like that. So that's probably not it. It definitely could lean towards maybe not happy with the direction the company is going. I mean, if you're a car person, a muscle car person, and you're pushing this whole brotherhood of muscle, brand and things like that, and you take away the muscle from the brotherhood of muscle. Stellantis is one of those companies. They came in, they did, take over FCA and what have you, and they have their own vision and goals for the company and whatnot. And unfortunately, that may have clashed with what they wanted to do with the brand and whatnot. But also the unfortunate thing is this, though. No matter what CEO you bring into that company, I know they got someone already named to take over. You really can't change the direction of what the overall company is wanting to do. So Unfortunately, I don't think any CEO is going to change direction. Whatever direction they're going in now, more than likely going to be the same direction they're going to go in. And unfortunately for us that know how this whole brotherhood of muscle thing made us feel and thing like that, probably not going to feel like that going forward. I mean, let's be completely honest here. Stellantis has really turned, has really neutered the brotherhood of muscle over the last few years. And the main thing is this, and this is the best analogy I could come up with. Imagine your favorite steakhouse stopped selling steaks and they only sold salads. That's pretty much what is going on right now in front of our face. That's like Burger King, that is known for selling Whoppers, cannot sell Whoppers anymore. You built your whole brand on home of the Whopper and things like that. You can't sell them anymore, and that's really what's going on at this point. And the main reason, I know people keep talking about this a lot, and this is something I mentioned before, the main reason why Dodge is in this boat that they're in is because of the fact that when it comes to car sales, you can't survive on, as a company if the only thing you can sell are 2 cars with big V8, especially in today's climate, right? Their whole car lineup is really not diversified enough at all. Their whole car lineup is not a good car lineup when it comes to a company that's trying to stay afloat, right? There's no variety there at all. They don't have cars that appeal to the masses and things like that. Like, for example, if you look at Dodge's lineup from 10 years ago to now, it's drastically different. Like, for example, let me let you know what Dodge really had lined up for 10 years ago. Now, 2014, 10 years ago, the Dodge lineup had the Charger, the Challenger, the Durango, Caravan, Dart, Viper, and the Journey. That is literally a good variety of cars, good portfolio of cars, good fleet of cars that they can sell, and find a car that can match for different uses and things like that. You got your minivan, you got your small fuel efficient car, you got this Viper, your super car, exotic, whatever how you want to label that. You got your Journey, your crossover. You got a numerous different type of cars there for everybody. You got the Durango, your SUV. You got your Charger and Challenger. We know what those are about and stuff like that. So you got a wide variety of cars to sell. And over the years, from now, they went from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 7 cars. Now in 2024, the only cars they have available, brand new 2024 cars, are going to be Durango, the Hornet, and that's it. Like, you've cut most of your lineup and you can't sell it. And they brought back the Hornet because they needed a crossover SUV, which they had the Journey before, and it, of course, I guess it didn't sell well. They had to cut it, and they're trying to bring it back because they need those type of cars to help balance out their inefficient engines that they have in the fleet. And man, also another thing you also want to think about here, it felt like, from our standpoint, I don't feel like Stellantis does not believe in the Dodge brand at all. I mean, if you look over the last few years, they really haven't fully invested into the brand, if you ask me. We talked about plenty of times like the cars haven't changed and things like that. If I recall correctly, I think I saw somewhere where they planned on doing a redesign of the car, but because of kind of the regulations changing with the engines and stuff, they figured they just scratched that idea, just kept producing the same cars and stuff like that. I mean, really think about it, the only new car they really brought to the lineup is the Hornet, and they needed to bring it back to help out with the sales for fuel efficient vehicles. And that is really a shared design with the Alfa Romeo or Tonale or whatever, right? So that design is not really only Dodge's. They sit there and just said, hey, well, we're going to make this one design and split it between 2 brands. I mean, that's not uncommon with other brands, but it's kind of odd that, they took this car and made a luxury car for one brand and made it kind of a cheaper car for the other brand or whatnot. This is something very interesting that I've learned about the Hornet and the actual sales and how Stellantis has performed as a whole over the whole first quarter. So this is the funny thing, and I put this article up here, and I saw, I wanted to look up this Hornet. I wanted to see something about it. I wanted to see how the sales compared, where they actually are. Kind of pivoting a little bit, but this is kind of funny or interesting. So the Hornet, if you compare it to the Alfa Romeo Tonale, which is the same car, and I know we've said multiple times how people aren't buying Hornets, we don't see them on the road or things like that. The Dodge Hornet actually outsold the Tonale 10-1. So for every one Tonale, I guess how you say it, I'm gonna say Tonale, but I'm gonna say Tonale. For every one Tonale that you sold 10 Dodge Hornets. They're the same car pretty much. One's more luxurious than the other one, and that's accounts for in Q1. Now, here's the interesting thing as well. Stellantis as a whole, that means all the brands under Stellantis, in Q1 sales compared to last year, they saw a 10% drop. This is going to be interesting. Now, keep in mind, Tim was over Dodge and the Ram divisions here. He was a CEO over that. Now, I'm not going to say this is why the reason he retired or whatnot, but it's just interesting that how these sales played out. So, a 10% drop. So, if you hear 10% drop compared to a previous quarter or last year, you're thinking all the brands went down, because we've been talking a lot about how these sales suck, right? So, we know that under Stellantis, they have Jeep, Chrysler, Fiat, Ram, Dodge, and Alfa Romeo. So the brands that actually increased, so Jeep, Chrysler, and Fiat saw increases in sales. However, the losses at Ram, Dodge, and Alfa Romeo brought the average down. So pretty much half the brand did good, half the brand did bad. And unfortunately, the two brands that was under Tim were the brands that did bad, both Ram and Dodge. Those brands had a decrease in sales, and the decrease in sales were so large compared to Q1 of last year that it brought everything down as a whole. So Jeep, pretty much with their sales, they pretty much had a 2% increase in sales with nearly every model except the Cherokee, and they said the Cherokee is performing well. So pretty much everything on Jeep side went up, right? And I know I talked about how the sales were terrible with Ram and Dodge. The Ram side of things, 26% decline. That's a pretty big decline in sales year over year. Dodge saw 16%. We know kind of their issues: high supply, high prices, low demand right now, and they can't move those cars at all. We talk about it so much. And the only car currently in production that saw an increase in sales for Dodge was the Hornet. So we've been talking crap about the Hornet and how the sales, nobody buying any cars. The Hornet's the only one that actually went up in sales. But granted, it probably only went up in sales because of the fact it was a new car in 2023. So they didn't have hardly anything sold in 2023. And then 2024, it was a year later. That's probably the only reason why there was an increase in sales. So I'm not sure we got it to win. But that's the only car in the Dodge fleet that actually had an increase in sales. And now I know I said like the three brands that had a sales decrease, and we said Ram had a 26% sales decrease, Dodge had a 16% decrease, and Alfa Romeo, they only had a 4% decrease. So they didn't even go down that bad. We're only talking maybe like 100 sales difference. So they didn't even drop that much. So really, the only brands that really got hit hard was the Dodge brands and the Ram brands, both of the brands that Tim was over. Now again, I'm not saying that he was the cause of these going down. Of course, he can only do so much of what Stellantis wants him to do, but they could have maybe made him a scapegoat because of those sales there. And like every other brand did fine in sales, every other brand went up except the two brands that he oversaw. And again, I just want to make sure I say I'm not blaming him at all for the decrease in sales. But it does look bad if you're the CEO of that, and then the only two brands that saw a decrease in sales were your brands, and they were pretty significant drops in sales, right? And like I said, man, like we'll never know the reason why he retired. I mean, I feel like, you know, with his age and where he's at and what he's accomplished, I don't think he's gonna be done or anything like that. But who knows why he retired? Was he forced out? Was he given an ultimatum to, hey, we can let you go or you can retire? You know, was that his choice, or was he's like, you know what, I don't like the direction the company's going, I'm just gonna go out on my own terms? You know, we'll never know. But again, it is unfortunate, and it just does put more questions on their future going forward, especially where he kind of led the charge with them and kind of where he got them to before this whole mandated of what engines you can put into cars and whatnot. That's gonna be interesting to see. And like I said, man, Dodge really was on this kind of road of destruction for quite some time. All the cars I listed, they no longer sell, and you got your competitors like Chevy and Ford, who has like a variety of cars in their fleet to sell. I would say Ford could maybe stop selling their Mustang, but they'll still be fine. I mean, probably make a lot of people mad, but they'll probably still be fine for the most part. They're doing well in sales. Their cars are moving. Of course, they both cut cars and things like that, but they have enough other cars in their lineup to offer people. They got a good diverse portfolio of cars to sell, something Dodge does not have at the moment, and that is concerning. So it does kind of really bring into question of like how Dodge moves forward from this. And I mean, it is not looking good at the moment. And that's going to be the end of the video, man. Let me know you guys' thoughts here. Like I said, I mean, I would have put this video out sooner, but I was on vacation, man. I was out on a boat somewhere. But yeah, man, let me know your thoughts on this. Kind of shocking that he did retire, but I do, like I said, I think he's gonna pop up somewhere else. I don't think he's done. Not sure where he's gonna go. I'm interested to see what he's gonna do next myself, and what his next moves are gonna be. But if you made it this far in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do a lot of car related things on this particular channel, and we want you to learn for all of that. And if you subscribe, you make sure you can stay up to date with all the stuff we got going on. We will catch you on the next video. We're out. Cut it.